Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, Texas opens registration for Emergency Assistance Program, what STEER offers residents. A special night for those with special needs is coming up, how you can help make it unforgettable. And Governor Abbott orders fraud investigations at Texas daycares. Details on what officials are looking for.
Well, if you like that warm January weather, you can enjoy it for just a couple more days, because by the end of this week, looks like winter is coming back to the Crossroads. We'll be talking about that coming up in a moment.
Plus, a sleeping driver stopped on the highway, how his car stayed on the road without him. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon. Thanks for being with us. I'm Don Brubaker in for Shauna Curry. Residents can take a simple step now that could make a life-saving difference later. A state-run registry is designed to help first responders quickly identify people who may need extra assistance during an emergency. 25 News Now reporter Trent Whiting joins us to explain how this program works.
Dawn, the State of Texas Emergency Assistance Registry, or STEER, is now in its registration phase. STEER is a program that helps residents who need extra accommodations during an emergency. People with medical needs like oxygen tanks, dialysis treatments, or movement disabilities are some of the challenges STEER looks to support during an emergency. Transportation limitations for lower-income residents are also considered as challenges that may need extra assistance in the case of an emergency. I spoke with Billy Jordan, director of the DeWitt County Office of Emergency Management, and he says the program is a helpful record of who needs the most help in an emergency.
Sometimes we don't have notices, and so we'll have straight line winds, or we'll have some sort of weather event that kind of just shows up out of nowhere. We would then go out to those people that have registered on this program to make sure that they're okay, and then get them the services that they need.
Jordan says this QR code on the screen can take residents directly to a site that will help them register for STEER. They can also call 211 or their local emergency management office for registration assistance. He says other offices like in Victoria County have been quality partners as they look to support the most vulnerable residents during an emergency. Now, as a reminder, those who have already signed up in the past must re-register each year to make sure their current needs are addressed and noted. The registry does not ask about protected or private medical records, only additional needs during an emergency. Dawn, back to you.
Trent, thank you. Let's go to Mac Pettis with a first look at the forecast, which changes every day. I understand it should. It doesn't during the summer, but right now, Mac, we're kind of...
Yeah, well, we've been stuck in this unusually warm weather pattern since the beginning of the year, and now fortunately things are actually since Christmas, and now fortunately things are going to be changing. Down here on the west coast, you see this? This low is going to be dropping down into almost Baja California and then crossing across the Rockies and then comes into our area. It is the beginning of the arrival of cold weather back to our region. What do I mean by cold weather? Well, by the weekend, the lows will be in the 40s and the highs will barely be in the 60s. So yes, we're going to be needing our jackets by the time we get to the weekend. I'll be talking about when winter returns coming up in just a few minutes, so stay tuned. Don, back to you.
Mac, thank you. Night to Shine is rolling out the red carpet, and they need the community's help to make it happen. The organization is asking for donations of suits and dress shoes to help young men look and feel their best at their upcoming prom. Night to Shine is all about giving those with special needs the spotlight, making them feel seen, celebrated, and confident on one of the most unforgettable nights of their lives. 25 News Now reporter Ray Mosley spoke with the organizer behind Night to Shine, and we'll have the full story tonight on 25 News Now at 6. Victoria City Council is moving forward with a new Civil Service Commission with 3 community members expected to be confirmed at tomorrow night's meeting. Voters approved the commission in November to oversee policies for the Victoria Fire Department. The members are appointed by the city manager and confirmed by City Council. The commission is expected to meet for the first time by the end of January and will meet twice a month to get its rules in place. Those policies need to be finalized before the next fiscal year begins October 1st. Texas officials are launching new investigations into possible child care funding fraud after allegations surfaced in Minnesota. In that state, claims made by a conservative YouTube creator accuse some daycare centers of misusing money meant for low-income families. State investigators say those centers are still operating, but federal funding was frozen while investigations are ongoing. Governor Greg Abbott has now directed Texas agencies to investigate any possible child care funding fraud here at home, saying misuse of taxpayer dollars will not be tolerated. New analysis shows a school district officer charged in the Robb Elementary shooting arrived on campus just before the massacre began. Investigators say Officer Adrian Gonzalez was outside the school nearly a minute and a half before the gunman opened fire inside. He was with the teacher reporting a suspicious person when they heard gunshots in the parking lot. Gonzalez goes on trial this week. He's the first officer charged in the 2022 shooting that killed 19 students and 2 teachers. He faces 29 counts of child endangerment and has told investigators he never saw the gunman. A person is in custody following a reported incident at Vice President J.D. Vance's Ohio home. A federal law enforcement source says an investigation is underway. The source says the family was not home at the time. Preliminary reports show the person did not appear to enter the residence, while photos showed damaged windows. The White House and Secret Service did not immediately return requests for help or comment. And a police call you don't see every day. An Oklahoma State trooper responded to reports of a driver slumped over the wheel while the car kept rolling down the Will Rogers Turnpike. The driver had fallen asleep and his car's lane assist feature kept it on the road. After lights and sirens did not work, the trooper spun out the car to stop it. The driver later said he'd worked nearly 20 hours and nodded off. He was ticketed, but no one was hurt. If you see news happening, call our newsroom at 361-576-0026 or send us an email at staff@crossroadstoday.com. If you drive through Bloomington, expect a few detours this week. Union Pacific Railroad is doing maintenance that will temporarily close several railroad crossings through Wednesday. Drivers will need to use alternate routes near North Nueces Avenue by Hadi Circle and along King Road. Some crossings will reopen as the work moves along. Commerce Street and Black Bayou Road are expected to reopen Tuesday, with McCoy Road and Canal Road reopening Wednesday. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News now at 5. Health experts warn new vaccine changes could lead to more infections. Find out which recommendations are changing. Also ahead, President Trump makes a stunning claim about who's running Venezuela. The fallout from his comments coming up. The U.S. is getting ready for new vaccine recommendations for children. Federal health officials plan to keep most current guidelines, including vaccines for measles, polio, chickenpox, and HPV. But recommendations for RSV, meningitis, and hepatitis would be reduced except for higher risk children. Some experts warn the changes could lead to more preventable infections. Federal officials will also drop requirements for states to report vaccination data for Medicaid recipients. Flu activity in the U.S. reached the highest level seen in 25 years. All but 4 U.S. states are at high or very high levels of flu activity. A new flu strain called subclade K is responsible for the spread. Subclade K began to spread after strains were chosen for this year's flu shots, which means flu vaccines likely only offer partial protection against it. In terms of severity, the number of people hospitalized due to the flu is not a standout, but doctor visits for flu symptoms have not been this high since 1997. Now to a big announcement regarding weight loss drugs. As ABC's Rhiannon Alley reports, for the first time, one of the popular GLP-1 medications is available in pill form.
A big change in weight loss drugs. A daily pill version of Wegovy is now available by prescription at pharmacies across the country. Dave Moore, the executive vice president of U.S. operations of Novo Nordisk, sharing the announcement on Good Morning America.
Wegovy pill will be available in over 70,000 pharmacies across the U.S.
Novo Nordisk, which also makes Ozempic, says those who took the Wegovy pill in the clinical trial lost an average of 17% of their body weight over nearly 15 months. Those results similar to the weekly injectable version.
The first is the magnitude of weight loss. The efficacy of the Wegovy pill is like the efficacy of the Wegovy injection.
The prescription pill is to be taken daily on an empty stomach with a 30-minute window before eating, drinking, or taking any other medicine. The clinical trial shows people who took the pill experienced similar side effects when compared to the shot, mainly gastrointestinal issues. As for cost, if your insurance covers weight loss medication, the copay could be about $25 or less. Those without insurance, the company says you can expect to pay $149 per month for the lower doses and $299 for the higher doses. Dr. Louis Aroni says patients with lower levels of obesity may be better suited for the pill version of the drug.
What we'll be able to do now is to treat people earlier so that they can get the health benefit sooner.
Another GLP-1 pill is expected to be FDA approved and released next summer from competitor Eli Lilly. Melissa Adon, ABC News, Los Angeles.
The Food and Drug Administration missed its deadline to propose a ban on formaldehyde in hair straightening products. The rule was due by the end of December and follows several missed deadlines since 2023, despite years of pressure from salon workers. Formaldehyde was linked to infertility and certain cancers, risks that advocates say disproportionately affect black women. The FDA says the rule is still in progress but has not said when it will move forward. President Trump says the U.S. is now in charge of Venezuela, but it's not yet clear what American involvement will look like or how long it will last. ABC's Perry Russum reports the president adding he's, quote, not afraid, unquote, to put U.S. troops on the ground.
As President Trump says the U.S. is in charge of Venezuela.
We're in charge.
Ambassador to the United Nations Mike Waltz today says the U.S. is not occupying the country after the capture of President Nicolas Maduro.
There is no war against Venezuela or its people. We are not occupying a country. This was a law enforcement operation in furtherance of lawful indictments that have existed for decades.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth today says Maduro and his wife were caught off guard by the operation.
Nicolas Maduro got to meet some great Americans wearing night vision goggles 3 nights ago. He didn't know they were coming until 3 minutes before they arrived. In fact, his wife said, I think I hear aircraft outside.
Tal vez secuestraron a Nicolás y a Cilia.
Maduro's son today addressing Venezuela's National Assembly, calling his father's capture a kidnapping. Nicolas Maduro Guerrera says no country is safe if the kidnapping of a head of state is normalized. Delcy Rodriguez has been sworn in as the interim leader of Venezuela. She was Maduro's vice president and says she is open to cooperating with the U.S. after President Trump said if she did not, her fate would be worse than Maduro's. ABC's James Longman is along Venezuela's border.
Venezuelans we speak to Every single one of them, without exception, says they're happy that Maduro is gone. That's really important to say, but it is not the whole picture because they're conscious that the rest of the regime remains.
Tonight on Capitol Hill, lawmakers in the Gang of Eight are expected to be briefed behind closed doors on the actions in Venezuela. Members of Congress were notified after the operation began. New polling from the Washington Post shows Americans are divided over the U.S. using the military to capture Maduro. That split is along party lines. Perry Russum, ABC News, Washington.
The Pentagon is censuring Democratic Senator Mark Kelly. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth made the announcement today, saying Kelly's retirement pay will be reduced. Hegseth said the move is to punish Kelly, a decorated retired Navy captain, for taking part in a video reminding service members they must, quote, refuse illegal orders, unquote. President Trump called the video seditious and treason. Kelly responded to the censure, saying he will not be intimidated by the Trump administration. To get more news, weather, and sports, come to our website, crossroadstoday.com.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. If you're happy with this warm January weather, it's finally coming to an end. Yes, we're looking for winter to be arriving this coming weekend. Right now, our high was 80. Our low today was down into the 50s. But although it's going to take a couple of days, this should be the last few days of the 80-degree temperatures. We'll talk about the winter return coming up in just a moment. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the weekend. Sure did feel like springtime out there. Today, again, we were in the 80s, but things are finally changing. It'll take a couple of days, though. Now, you remember that the ridge of high pressure was fairly large on top of us. That was last week. This week, you can see how it's dropping down just a little bit into the Gulf of Mexico, and that is going to open the door finally for the arrival of these storms coming at us from the Pacific. As you can see right there, there's another system. Actually, this is a continuation of the weekend storms over California, but this one's going to be dropping down into Baja California and then moving up, and finally we got rain rolling into Texas. Now, how much will we get? I don't expect a big washout, but let's just say that the active weather pattern is going to be very interesting. Now, in the short term for tonight, we were likely to see another morning of thick fog, so keep that in mind if you're heading out early in the morning. There's midnight, and as we go to about 5 a.m., we've got fog almost all the way to San Antonio, so do watch out. Sunrise, that'll burn off about 10 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning, and the rest of the afternoon will stay on the warm side. We do have no advisories out in the crossroads. However, way up here in North Texas and this red area, also in Colorado, there's a high wind warning. What's happening is the winds are going to be blowing in that direction as that storm starts moving across the Rockies. They're going to be getting some precipitation there too. The interesting part is that that low that you saw in California is going to come very low. And as it comes low, it's also going to pick up some moisture off the Pacific. There you see the very heavy rain that's actually rolling through Northern California. They really had just storm after storm after storm. There's the one that's happening now. There's the additional stuff down there, but the one we're looking at is down here, which one is going to be crossing the Rockies and the very southern Rockies. So we're talking even as far south as Arizona and New Mexico. Now, watch this. Next 5 days of precipitation over Texas. We start today on Monday, we go to Tuesday, and then Wednesday, there you see it. By the time we get to Tuesday, you'll see it out here, and then Wednesday it'll start moving into North Texas. We've got some possibility, but it's not great as far as we're concerned, but that's this week. We're just looking for thick clouds and a few little sprinkles, but you will notice that temperatures are finally going to be dropping. There it is. We're going to be in the 80s, in the 80s, in the 80s, and then what happens on Saturday? Well, that north wind blows in, and all of a sudden our temperatures are going to be dropping fairly significantly. Now, here's a good view. Monday, still high pressure or higher pressure, watching the west coast. There you go. Wednesday, there's that storm down in the southwest. And then Thursday, it starts rolling over Texas. That is the first of it. The second of it comes when this trough finally moves through the area on Saturday. That's when we get that cold northerly wind that'll finally make it feel a lot more like January around here. As a matter of fact, you remember where you left your winter coat? I mean, when was the last time you used it? It was probably sometime before Christmas. There you see mostly cloudy and foggy in the morning, and then partly cloudy in the afternoon, still on the warm side, getting up to about 82 in the Cuero area. And as I showed you earlier, the temperatures will be in the 80s until Saturday. That's when they drop down, and this is when you'll be looking for your winter jacket because it's going to be windy and cold. Well, colder. How about that? That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Don, back to you.
Thank you, Mac. And still to come on 25 News now at 5. Texas expands home ownership help for veterans. The details on higher loan limits next. A banner day on Wall Street as investors kicked off the first full week of trading in the new year on a high note. The Dow Jones Industrial Average gained more than 800 points, over 500 points, crossing over the 49,000 mark for the first time. But at the closing bell, the Dow's gain slipped, still adding nearly 600 points. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq also made gains. The price of oil is also up by $1.07 to $58.39 per barrel. Concerns about oil supply disruptions eased as traders pointed to healthy global supplies. Oil prices were choppy early in Asian trading as investors reacted to political turmoil in OPEC member Venezuela. President Trump said the U.S. would take control of the country and confirmed the U.S. oil embargo on Venezuela remains in place. following the detention of President Nicolas Maduro in New York Sunday. Gas Buddy predicts the average price for a gallon of regular will be $2.97 this year. That would be the first year below $3 since 2020. It would mark 4 straight years of falling prices. Gas Buddy is making the prediction despite ongoing uncertainty in oil-rich Venezuela. For many Americans, owning a home still feels out of reach as high prices keep buyers on the sidelines. But as Jen Sullivan explains, some realtors say 2026 could bring new opportunity with prices and interest rates starting to ease.
High prices, high interest rates, and low inventory have shut out many potential home buyers in recent years. But many housing experts say 2026 could open the door to more affordable housing options.
All this new home supply is hitting the market at a time where the demand is still somewhat sluggish.
Lawrence Yoon with the National Association of Realtors says more inventory means less competition for home buyers. The other good news is home prices are starting to dip. The latest data shows the median existing home sale price in November was just over $409,000, a slight drop from October. And mortgage rates are starting to drop as well. As of last week, a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage was 6.15%, according to Freddie Mac.
Even a quarter point change could mean about $50 savings per month, which translates into about $600 annually.
Yoon says spring is when most homes come on the market. So if you're looking to buy, here's what Yoon suggests you do now so you're in a good position to make a competitive offer in a few months. Set a budget. Save for a down payment. Make sure your credit score is good. Get pre-approved for a mortgage. And don't take out any big loans like a car payment.
That scares off some of the lenders, or they will charge higher interest rate to compensate for a larger debt load.
Yoon says homes are sitting on the market for about only 40 days from listing to contract signing, so buyers do need to act fast and be prepared. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
Texas veterans looking to buy a home now have a little more buying power. The Veterans Land Board approved an increase to its home loan cap, raising it by more than $26,000 to just over $832,000. State Land Commissioner Don Buckingham says the move helps expand home ownership opportunities for Texas veterans and their families. Eligible veterans can still qualify for competitive interest rates and in some cases no down payment and no private mortgage insurance. While you're staying warm, these swimmers are breaking ice to take a dip. Why they do it is next.
Tonight, Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and his wife facing charges in U.S. federal court in New York inside the daring operation to bring them to America.
We're in charge.
And his new warnings. The world watches. World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.
Well, I hope you're near a heater when you're watching this. Swimmers in China embrace the cold by diving in sub-zero water at the frozen Songhua River with temperatures around minus 15 degrees Celsius. That's about 5 degrees Fahrenheit for us. One 61-year-old swimmer says winter swimming keeps her happy, healthy, and cold-free. I mean, like the cold that you get in your nose. She's part of a group with more than 300 members who make these icy dips a regular thing. The chilly spectacle is part of Harbin's Ice and Snow World, a winter festival that draws millions of visitors each year, weather permitting. Now, I don't know why they put that in there, weather permitting. Obviously, you want bad, really chilly, 15 below weather.
You wait until the worst weather of the year, and then you go.
That's right.
You know, they're trying to start that in Austin at Barton Springs.
Really?
They're on the 1st of in January, everybody goes and jumps into Barton. My son was one of those. I'm going,
really?
Okay, good luck.
But it wasn't really that cold, though.
No snow on the ground, but it's still rather nippy, wouldn't you say, to be out there?
But not 15 below. I mean, my gosh.
I don't think you really feel, you know, once you're below zero, it's just cold.
You feel numbness.
Numbness, for sure. Well, folks, our hot winter weather is finally going to be changing. We've got warm weather all the way through Friday. But if you've got plans for this weekend, just know that it's going to be cold and windy. Okay, it's going to be colder. Looking for a high of 64 on Saturday and then 61 on Sunday. So, yes, at least you'll be looking for your sweater, your jacket. Remember where you left that? Might be in the trunk, okay?
Okay. All right. Next newscast, 30 minutes. David Muir next.